Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline, and this is part two of Never Work Again Best Lesson. So I'm back. Let's continue with this. Remember, in part one, when it comes to conditioning our mind, rich people versus poor people. Rich people always finish their projects. Poor people never finish their projects. So that's what we're here to do, finish our project. So let's finish this best lessons live. We are back. Let's finish this in the second part, never work again. So we just finished sharing the workbook notes, this one of never work again. Let me move on to my second half, remaining notes of never work again. So we are already in day three. Day three of never work again. So this is back in November 17, 2018. So we're 5 years after. Let's continue with our best lessons. We are on to our fifth speaker. In part one, we mentioned there are passive income vehicles that we can learn from, like social media, stocks, like value investing. There was also mobile apps. We mentioned also alternative stuff like crypto, Bitcoin, like that. Now we're on to the fifth one. So the last one, the passive income vehicle speaker here, was talking about real estate. So Dr. Dolf the Roos, PhD, is talking about real estate. So best lessons I got from this one moving forward, people watching the live or the replay, remember, feel free to comment down below. If there's a best lesson that struck you, feel free to type it down, share it down, so we know like what is the best insight you got. Share it with us. I'd love to read it. So the next best lesson that hit me here is the only failure is the failure to participate. So very timely, actually, that connected. So when we participate, we actually learn more. Now I'm talking about, let me apply it to myself. So I'm here learning from this person who's sharing about real estate. So when we participate, we actually learn more, we win. So remember, we talk about perspective, right? A lot of the lessons here when we participate is we're learning different perspectives, learning different ways of seeing life, or learning about money, right? Financial freedom, the mindset. And one little idea or nuance can actually be a big breakthrough for you or for me. And I'm sharing with you my best breakthroughs. So, one quick example is we hear this line, practice what you preach. Now, a little shift in that is preach what you practice. So, it sounds so similar, but if you participate, pay a little more attention. Is there a difference of practice what you preach versus preach what you practice? So, the second one, which Dr. Dolph DeRoos is sharing, is preach what you practice. When we do this, we practice it first. For me to share these lessons with more impact, I had to write them down here in my notes. I had to let them sink in, absorb it, test it. Does this actually make sense? I'm not saying when you test it, you have to achieve the level of income of the speaker, like that, but test it to the point that does it make sense? And then I can share it with someone. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to share it with you, right? I have to integrate it first. So why are we practicing or sharing this way? Martin, you took the seminar Never Work Again, November 2018. That's like 5 years ago. Why are you sharing this again? Why are you reviewing your notes? Next best lesson here is it had everything to do with the subconscious mind. So it's not my accent, it's not my pace, it's not the sequence of the knowledge or the content. Dr. Dolf de Roos, I believe he's based in New Zealand, like that. So it had everything to do with the subconscious mind. So when we learn this, and I keep learning this, 5 years later, practice, test it, integrate. Now I'm resharing it. The more it becomes part of my subconscious mind, it's more deeply rooted. So this is what we're doing here. So quick example, again, why I'm finishing this part two of this Never Work Again live best lessons is sloppy in small things, sloppy in big things. Might sound or feel familiar from the lessons we were sharing earlier. If I'm sloppy when I do this live, oh, the first one, the battery ran out, so screw it. I won't finish what I start. I'm gonna be sloppy in bigger projects, in bigger things. What if I'm helping someone? It's a whole day event. What if I have a client? What if it's 2 days, that event, that project? So, as I do this, practicing it now to my subconscious level, the more it becomes a part of me. And I'm sharing that back with you. Next best lesson. So, I love this one, Dr. Dolf the Roos. So, you can look him up. He's on Instagram, Dolf the Roos. He's teaching real estate here. You can create value because earlier we were learning in part one, add value, create value. People will exchange their money with you for that. So you can create value. What limits you is your imagination. And I'll share with you some examples, some real examples here. So Dr. Dolph DeRoos was sharing about real estate, and he'll be sharing with you some examples, real life, from his experience. His daughter, he had one cool one. And you can create value just out of your imagination. So in part one, Rigor even commented ideas in the live. That's an example. So for example, here's a quick one already. What can you do to increase the value of your real estate? So, for example, renovate. Now, I'm totally new to real estate. I actually don't really know. So, let's say you newly purchase a condominium, property, a land. You don't know what to do with it. You want to sell it or you want some money, right? No one wants to buy it. If you renovate it, it increases the chances of someone to buy it. It can also increase the value if you renovate it the right way. That's actually what a lot of land developers do. They purchase land at a low price, very unattractive. They develop it. They make a mall, shopping mall. They create a community, right? A subdivision, a village. And then people start paying more money, higher value for it because they renovated it. So his example was a 69-cent brighter light bulb. So let's say I'm doing this live in a pitch black dark room. It looks like I'm in the red light district or like some gothic or shady place, right? Well, maybe a lot of people will be turned off. They won't want to watch it or want to be there, right? So the power of a 69-cent brighter light bulb can make the room look bigger, brighter, or cleaner. So these are things that he applied. Last example, $20 bucket of white paint and a brush. So what did he do with that land, Dr. Dolph de Roos? He painted a circle with a letter H on it, and he turned the property into a helipad. So if ever you've seen a helipad on the rooftop of a building, if you're living in a city, open land, you go to Tagaytay Highlands, and then you go, as you're going down the bend, you suddenly see, oh, there's a letter H with a circle on it. There's a helipad. Helicopters could land on it. So, Tati, thank you for the comment. Yeah, this is part two. So, part one of the Never Work Again live. So, this one I did was around 1 hour and 50 minutes, almost 2 hours. So, Hopefully, this is not going to be my longest live, actually. My goal is actually not to make the live long, it's to make it as short as possible while giving you all of these best lessons from my quantum leap seminars. So, Never Work Again being the fifth and the last one in my best lesson series. So, you get to watch all of the best lessons of Quantum Leap, the seminars, even before you attend it, if you haven't attended it. Now, if you have attended it, I'd love it. Let's say you watch this, please share your best lessons back. This becomes a mastermind. We get to share and help more people in the process. So, Tati, I actually want this live to be shorter, ironically, but yes, it's been 2 hours already combined. So, going back to the idea of what can we do to increase value, the example of Dr. Dolf de Roos's real estate, he $20, bucket of paint, white paint and a brush, paints a circle with the letter H. He turns his property into a helipad. Now, instead of $20 per square meter, you multiply that by 10,000 because and you divide it by the air rate, 10%, something like that. So long story short, the value went up to $2 million. He turned that untapped potential of real estate property into a helicopter landing, like a helipad, right? So that's an example of how you can increase value. Going back to the lesson of you can create value, and what limits us is just our imagination. And this is a real type of value or imagination, not some made up stuff that won't even make you money, right? So we're talking about money, financial freedom, mindset, because it's never work again. Next best lesson. So this one, normally, because real estate was the passive income vehicle that I'm currently learning about, studying, getting my hands dirty with, getting, applying it, in other words. So what I'm learning is residential property. He's actually sharing a lesson here on commercial property because he said I have made most of my money in commercial real estate. So residential, normally this is again places that we live in. Commercial being real estate used for business. So you're renting it out to a tenant. You convert that to a mall, like a business is occupying your real estate. They're paying you for that, right? So the next best idea here is I like this one. I believe this is applicable both for residential and commercial. How how you can turn ugly buildings into something beautiful. And I like this next best lesson here. The real beauty of buildings is in the balance sheet. What does that mean? It's in the cash flow, it's in the population growth, it's in the industries doing well or not well around it. So people might say, yeah, that's super applicable for commercial property. I believe that's also applicable for residential property. Is the population growth growing there, right? Are they constructing highways, skyways going towards that area? Will the population even become more, populated or developed in the coming years? Tendencies that will increase the value. Are there industries doing well? Are the shopping malls is there like an abandoned school just across your village? Or is it suddenly being developed into a new commercial center that's going to attract more people? Most likely that will increase the value of your property. Next best lesson. So we're going to shift a bit from real estate, from Dr. Dolf de Roos. So we're going back to Conray Labuschagne. He's teaching more about leverage or multiple streams of income, not limited to crypto, Bitcoin only. So you could do this in different ways: trading, mining, gold, property investments. The idea here is getting a system that feeds itself. So, in line with passive income, all these lessons that we've been learning, So next best lesson. Remember this too. This is an insight. The point here is not just creating passive income, getting more money, and then just getting more money and more money. Why are we doing this? Why? Because the insight is there will be an increase in the cost of living. And Conray even mentions here it's about 20% per year. So if it was 100,000 this year, then maybe the cost of living next year will become 120,000 and then like 144,000, something like that. Because, and we're experiencing it now, especially in the year 2023, there's been inflation ever since the whole COVID pandemic lockdown in 2020, not just local in the Philippines. The US started printing trillions of dollars, printing a lot of money. So in simple English, hyperinflation, like as they print more money, the cost of the dollar, the value of the dollar decreases. So inflation happens over the years. You could look it up 100 years ago or even, longer. Currencies, like if the inflation happens, currencies devalue. Cost of living can also increase. So that's one thing to keep in mind also why we're doing this in the first place. So we're setting up a system or security in the long run all the time, not just now. Next best lesson. So I'll kind of go faster because I don't want to get too technical, but there are pretty good lessons here. If you want to get a little more technical or deeper, comment deep dive down below. If you want to learn more about what was being shared here about Bitcoin mining, what a mining contract is, how you can make passive income from that. So I'm just trying to share again the best lessons that hit me to the core emotionally. I had aha moments, breakthroughs. Next best lesson. Yeah. So there was another speaker here. I would say it's like a bonus. So this sixth speaker, because you're like, Martin, but there are five passive income vehicles, you said. So this sixth speaker, Joanne Flinn, she wasn't sharing about passive income vehicles necessarily. So this is more of a bonus. And her topic was who you need to be, unicorning. So she was a TEDx speaker. And then back in November 2018, she said last week before our Never Work Again, she had her second TED Talk. So who is Joanne Flinn? 10 years ago, so when I was taking my seminar back in 2018, she said, I was sitting where you are at Never Work Again. She signed up for the Quantum Leap program and then she never looked back. So, why is her topic unicorning? Like, who you need to be unicorning? The unicorn means to do the magnificent. To some, it means the impossible. In finance, it means $1 billion. So why is she saying that? You'll see in a bit her background, where she came from. So one thing that hit me here is because I'm from the Philippines. Her backstory was she said growing up in a rice farm in UP Los Baños, Philippines. So I know that place. And in UP Los Baños, I believe there are a lot of scientists, people who study there, and then they learn about rice, like how they grow the strains or the breeds like that. So really interesting stuff. That was, she grew up there, and then she said that Joanne Flynn, she worked in banks with the Rothschild and she saw the world of wealth. So if you don't know who the Rothschild family is, you can Google, like research, look them up, and they're super wealthy and they're super low key. They were like I guess one of the founders of the banking system, if you look at it. So people who come up with all these conspiracy theories like the Illuminati, all that, you might see the Rothschild's name pop up because that's how high up they are in like the financial world. Now, if you don't see their name in like the Forbes top 100 wealthiest people, this is something I learned. The wealthiest families, people in the world, they don't want to be seen in that top 100 list because they value something even more than money, their privacy. So, and there are people who've done it the legit way. People might think, oh, are these criminals, shady people like that? Sometimes, like it could be that way. But I learned this as I went through my financial consultant journey in 2017 when I took my certified wealth planner course and graduated, got my certified wealth planner designation. I learned from one of my mentors there, Mr. Jong Merida, that the wealthiest people, there's this term called private banking. So, in order for you to qualify for private banking, you have to have a net worth of $1 million US dollars. So that's around 50 million pesos in assets, net worth, and above. So that qualifies you as a high net worth client, or there's ultra high net worth even. So in private banking, that's like your entry into the door requirement. So these people, why they call it private banking, I learned is you can be 50 million pesos net worth value and above. But one thing they value more than money in private banking is their privacy. Now, people will say, what is all this? This doesn't make sense. When you have that much wealth, you become a target of kidnappings. You become a target of a lot of like crime or stuff, right? People could take advantage of you. You become a magnet. So the Rothschilds, if you look them up, right? That world was about numbers. It was about money. And I've seen a part of that also. Maybe not as much as Joanne Flinn, but I understand what she's talking about. Now, there's also a world where people actually cared about each other. So I also understand when she took that quantum leap 10 years prior to when I attended mine, everything changed. For me, it was in 2016 or when I attended my first $1 million roundtable experience. I started to see people who were not only wealthy, they also gave a shit about you. So this is why I love $1 million roundtable. It's not the designation. It's not the prestige for me. It's because they weren't selfish. That's what I loved about MDRT or $1 million roundtable. So I'll go back to Joanne Flinn. She saw both sides of the world. She saw the money side and then she saw another side of the world. Next best lesson. It's so super easy to focus on one thing. Let's say money, right? And then forget about the other thing. For her, it was health. So is health also important? Yes, I believe that. So for some people, they have to go through a health scare, heart attack, like they realize I can't even walk up this flight of stairs without gasping for breath. So they start to realize the value of other things. It's not just one thing. Could also be health. Next best lesson, there are necessary stages. So in part 1, it was Nick, I believe, who was commenting. There are different stages, there are different parts in our life. There are different things we value or are important to us. So for Joanne Flynn, she said there are necessary stages, which she calls the journey. So there are 5 stages. Stage 1, I was ignorant. Stage 2, learning. Stage 3, experimenting. So in science, we treat this with a sense of adventure. So that was her background, right? UP Los Baños, the farm. So I love that. I could relate. Scientists, right? The world is our lab, the scientific method. Stage four, applying. This is the sense where we can actually start to predict, right? As we apply it, we know if I do this, I know this is going to happen. If I plant this is going to grow. Stage five is success. So, question is, which stage are you in right now? Am I stage one ignorant? Am I stage two learning? I would say, yeah, okay. I was ignorant in certain parts. Sometimes I realized it all over again. Hey, I missed this part, this comment, this insight. Thank you. Stage three, experimenting. Yes, especially when I took the seminar and over the years, experimenting is testing. Test if the ideas work for you as well. Stage four, applying. As we keep testing it, we find out, oh, this works. So let me keep applying this lesson. Stage five, success. I guess I have achieved or I have experienced all five stages, but question is, where are you? Where am I right now? Am I back to learning? Am I back to ignorant? Now, if you say, oh, I'm not ignorant, I already went past that. Okay, what if I put you or I put myself in a totally new profession after 9 years of being a financial consultant? I start from day zero, week one. Sorry, day zero, day one, like that, right? Week one. Then I'm back to ignorant in that new field, that new profession. So we all go through this actually. Next best lesson. So Joanne Flinn said it's not just one thing only, right? So what is important to you? Is it wealth? That's one thing, right? Is it your health? So that was the thing that she realized that she also valued. So it's not just wealth financial, right? It's not just health. Wealth comes in different forms. For you, maybe it's relationships right now that you want to work on. I could relate to this. And where I had to start in my epiphany realization here was my relationship with myself. In order for me to have good relationships with other people, I had to learn how to love myself in the first place. Or I had to learn to just appreciate and spend time with myself. I couldn't even go out and have coffee by myself. Now I practice that. Now, is wealth another thing for you? Like time. People will say time freedom. For them, that's wealth. They want to spend time with their family. That's wealth to them. Or lastly, wealth might mean for you meaning. It might mean your passion, your purpose, right? Your dreams. You can make all this money in the world, but I feel empty inside because wealth to me is actually living life on my own terms, to live my dreams, to follow it. So, the next best lesson here, when it comes to time, Joanne Flynn shared this. I started counting the months, the year my father died. Every day after I live, it feels like a second life, a gift. So I love this best lesson because time in work they always say time freedom, right? But for her, she valued time when her father died. Now, I'm going to connect this personal example. I didn't know what the hell depression was in 2014, mental health, emotional health, after going through a 9 year relationship. So there were points where I felt dead already. So when I shared this with a very close friend, I said I feel like I'm on borrowed time. This is why I'm doing a live. Some people asking, how can you do this live? It's so long. Because I'm already dead. This is part of my purpose, my mission. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing it just out of love because I feel like I might not be here tomorrow. And I really felt that. So going back to time, Sometimes we learn to value it in different ways. Maybe you lost someone so close to you, just like Joanne Flinn, right? Maybe you had a near miss. Maybe you just experienced something and you get it. So, next best lesson. Thank you again, people watching the live. Tati, your comment earlier. I see the reaction too. I see the love. Thank you. It really helps. I appreciate it. Next best lesson here. Do do you know what's your minimum cost to keep your life running? So one of the other speakers shared this too, right? Cost of living, like that. I love how Joanne Flynn shares it here in a simple way to understand too. So how much is the minimum cost to keep the core things operating in your life? She calls this keep the lights on. So here in the Philippines, if you don't pay your Meralco bill, that's the electric bill, they're gonna cut off your lights, right? Your electricity, disconnection notice. So, what is the cost, right? The minimum cost to keep your life running, to pay for the electricity. For some, it's the rent, to keep your life just living, food, right? Basic needs. Some of you might have a number. You're like, oh, 5,000 pesos in a month, 10,000 pesos in a month, 15,000 pesos in a month. That's like the minimum wage. And I believe they increased that over time. That's just top of mind that I remember growing up. So after that, this is the minimum cost of living just to keep the lights on. There's a next level, which is called grow your life or grow your business. So maybe it's not 15,000 pesos a month, minimum wage, like that. You're also going to have money to spend on attending education, a vocational course, TESDA. Now I took a seminar, I took the Quantum Leap program, right? And Never Work Again was part of it. So how much does it cost to add that in your life, right? Some people they take a course, they take a master's degree, MBA, like that. They want to upgrade their life, their business too. So how much is that? It's not 15,000 a month, maybe it's like 30,000 a month, 50,000 pesos a month. So you'll have a target of earning around 600,000 pesos every year. Now, it's not minimum wage, you're not going in the middle. And then there's a level here, next level, the third and the last one is called transform your life or transform your business. So, how much is the cost of that? Now, in my industry, life insurance, financial services, there's this, they call this $1 million round table. So, it's the top 2% in the industry. So, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, right? So these are the like the premier elite people, and they earn when you just qualify for the first level of $1 million round table. They're earning about a million pesos every year from their commissions, their income, like that. So with that income, can you transform your life on an even higher level? Now, for some people, by the way, when I started seeing that world, like the top 2%, let's say Tony Robbins started taking seminars, the middle of my dream board. He has this thing called Platinum Partnership. So if you want to join that 1 year membership, Platinum Partnership, $20,000 foot in the door just to sign up for it. Now I read the fine print. In that year, to complete the full payment, you're gonna end up spending maybe $75,000, right? So that's around 3-4 million pesos already. Just for that, just to be part of Platinum Partnership. Now, if I'm a $1 million round table, people will look up to me. They say, "Oh, Lodi, you're an idol," all this stuff. I can't even pay for that, the Platinum Partnership. So there are people who are making a month, not a year, 12 times even what I was dreaming or saw was possible. So that's transform your life level. So I love this because when they ask, do you know what's your minimum cost to keep your life running? For some, it's minimum wage, 15,000 a month. For some, it's 50,000 a month. They wanted to grow their life. And for some, it's 1 million. Transform your life level. So ask yourself that. It totally shifted my paradigm or way of seeing things. Another good thing is when you know your minimum cost of living to transform your life, right, to grow. Joanne Flinn said, once I was clear on my minimum, my life became so much easier. And I actually agree with her. I'm currently a work in progress of this because sometimes to know your minimum, to know your cost of living, to keep your life running, it changes. If you're working as an OFW in the United States, right, first world country, your minimum cost of living could be high. Now, if you come back to the country, to the Philippines, or you're living in like Indonesia or something like that, cost of living could be really low. Thailand earlier, one of the guys who got on part one of the live, right? Vietnam, Thailand, cost of living may be much lower. So be clear on that number. And it doesn't just become easier, it actually starts to feel more stable. That's what I love about that lesson. So, again, we're talking about money here, financial freedom, the mindset. I found that super helpful. Next best lesson here. So, this one, I love this one. This is a good one. What is that dream inside of you? So remember, wealth, right? It can come in many forms. It's not just financial, it could be health, like that. One of them mentioned was dreams, right? Your purpose, your passion. So why does Joanne Flynn ask, what is that dream inside of you? And this is the dream that you want to share, the dream you want to live, and the dream you want to share with the world, with others. This is important because this is actually the real reason why you will never work again. So some people, they fixate on financial only. Joanne Flynn said that's only one part, right? And how many times have you seen rich people and they end up killing themselves? Rich people, but they're not happy. Rich people and become an alcoholic, their life falls apart, right? So she reminds us, what is that dream inside of you? Figure out the financial. What's my minimum cost to keep the lights on? What do I need to transform my life? This is how much I'm clear, right? But also ask, what is the dream that you want to live? Because that's the real reason why you'll never work again. Now you're starting to see. There was a line earlier we shared, I work because I choose to, not because I have to. Even when we become financially free, we still choose to do something in our life. And that's where the dream comes in. I could totally relate to this because if you have all the money in the world or that you need and you still haven't figured out, Tony Robbins calls this the art of fulfillment. Robin Williams, right? Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, all these high level people, they still ended up killing themselves. So that's the art of fulfillment, which this is the other side, the component to it, right? This is the reason why you will never work again in a balanced and healthy way. Next best lesson. So I like this insight that Joanne Flynn shared. She said, get other people's inputs. This is also partly why I'm doing this Best Lessons Live. I'm sharing you back all the inputs of these people, these high level people. So she said, get other people's inputs. One example she shared was Argyle Pink Diamonds. So I had to look that up. Argyle Pink Diamonds are super rare, like super precious, like super expensive. And these are what high net worth or even ultra high net worth people talk about. I didn't even know that existed before she shared that. So before I took my certified wealth planner course, I didn't understand what private banking was. I didn't understand what a high net worth or an ultra high net worth client was. So these inputs or ideas, they start opening my eyes, our eyes to like worlds that we didn't even know existed. So she mentioned another input here. This is for women, like for her company with women leaders. Let's say you're a woman, you work there, you have 7 times more revenue or to investment, right? So it's a different perspective. You have a place in this world, and there are some insights or inputs that could be very valuable to you, that could help you or help you leverage, as Conray, the other speaker, was sharing. So let's shift. Next best lesson. We're going back to Dr. Dolf de Roos. He was the guy sharing about real estate. So this one, I love this one, his input or his insight, his sharing. Dr. Dolf de Roos said, if you wake up and put your alarm on snooze, you're doing the wrong thing. And it's going back, interweaving with what Joanne Flinn was sharing about dreams, your dream. A lot of times when we fixate on money, we forget that side. So it's a clue, it's a hint, right? You have to enjoy the process of becoming rich. So otherwise you can burn out. Personal sharing, I I can relate. Achievers Club, I did $1 million round table in 2016. You say, oh, Martin, you got lucky. I did it 3 years in a row, 2016, 17, 18. And then I reached a point where I'm like, you keep pushing me to do this. Let's go to the top floor and jump, right? So you have to enjoy the process too of becoming rich. If you wake up and you put your alarm on snooze, you're doing the wrong thing. So the other day, when I was helping my friend, because it aligned with my mission, my purpose. So people who are curious, you can watch the best lessons live on Mission to Millions. That's how I figured that out. As helping my friend. And we were doing an event for a corporate client in BGC, and he's my ice bath teacher. So we were helping guide people do cold immersion, ice bath. He was doing yoga, breath work. He was teaching them what he taught me. And my mission is to help people not give up on life. So somehow it's still aligned. I woke up for that day. Alarm or not, I wanted to help, whether I was going to get paid or not. And that's me applying the lesson. Was it? So what happened? It was worth it. It was worth it. Could tell you. So here's another hint, another good lesson. I talked about my programming growing up, school, right? Prep grade school, grade 7, high school, first year to fourth year, 5 years in college. It says here in school, teachers, they teach us to trade time for money. Get a job, right? Become an employee. Trade your time for money. Clock in, clock out, 8 to 6 here in the Philippines that I knew, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So this is the opposite of never work again. So all the lessons, if you rewind, you watch the replay, check out the timestamps, right? The best lessons there. That's the opposite of never work again. So next best lesson, which is becomes an example of it. So Dr. Dolf de Roos, this was his example of the never work again lesson. Instead of thinking like an employee, right? What school teaches us. This is what he taught his daughter. So his 7-year-old daughter Bella, Dr. Dolf de Roos taught her because she really wanted a gumball machine. So bubble gum, those gum balls, you have the machine, all colorful, looks so nice. I want the gumball like that. So he taught his daughter these things. He said, three options. You want the gumball machine. So let's get one. One is you can sell it on eBay. After you get the gumball machine, you're done with it, sell it on eBay. Number two, you can fill it with gumballs, enjoy it. It will make you and the dentist very happy. All that bubble gum, right? And then the third option, this one, the last, he said, you can put that gumball machine in a location, fill it with gumballs. We can visit it every week. You can get some gumballs because his daughter wanted some. And you can get the money in it. Pay the owner of the lot because they're putting the gumball machine in that location as like rent, right? Keep the rest of the money. So what he did was he taught his 7-year-old daughter her first passive income business. It's as simple as that. Some might say, hey, that's cute. That's real. Have you ever seen a vending machine in a mall, in an airport? It's the same thing, right? But now it's digital and all this, or the bills, now you Gcash, whatever, all this. It's the same thing. It's a passive income idea. It's a business, right? And the good thing is, once they catch that fever, they will never lose it again. I got excited from that. He taught that to his 7-year-old daughter as young as that. So no one taught me that growing up, by the way. You could do that. Next best lesson. If you treat people well, they will treat you well also. So Dr. Dolf the Roos was sharing this in the context of real estate. People might say, yeah, that's true. I believe in that. The law of karma. I have experienced that. Real example. The property manager of Dr. Dolf the Roos in Queenstown, New Zealand. And this is a $22,500 property. So he needed a new front door and fiberglass shower for that property. And Dr. Dolf the Roos, he treats his property manager well. What happened was when he purchased the property and the property manager was taking care of it, they then found a new front door and fiberglass shower in the basement. So Dr. Dolph the Roos didn't know that when he acquired the property. So because he treated his property manager well, then they didn't cheat him. He did not cheat me. So that applies whether what your business is. Maybe you're a life insurance agent, maybe you're into real estate, maybe you're into hardware, maybe you're into, whatever it is. You treat people well, they will treat you well also. Next best lesson. Oh, this one is an insight. So I won't go too deep and technical, but for real estate, this idea it just opened my mind. So I feel like sharing this with you. The value of a commercial building is dependent on its rental value. Now, some of you might say, duh. Like, wow, how is that mind blowing, right? So, the value of a commercial building is dependent on its rental value. Here's an example: you have limited land area, and then you build a parking lot on it. So, yes, they can park. There's a limit to the number of car slots there, right? So how do you increase its rental value, right? How do you increase the value of that? So his example was multi-level parking. So if ever you've seen a building or those steel parking lots, it's like 3, 4 levels, 5 levels, sometimes higher, multi-level parking. So suddenly your commercial building value goes up, multiplies, right? It's another example of leverage. So I really like that. I really like that one. How does the rental value go higher? Well, you get more people, right? Paying. All right. So next best lesson. Again, comment deep dive down below because a lot of these good ideas are like more focused on real estate. So if you want to know, just comment deep dive down below or real estate. I'm happy to share more of these. So this one, next best lesson by Dr. Dolf the Roos. You never learn less. So people watching the live or the replay, you just won. Why? You never learn less. And one thing can change your life. So one thing I do after this live, and they're like, oh Martin, this live is so long, 50 minutes already, like that. Well, one thing I do is I rewatch this from start to end. And then I type in the description, the best lessons, right? The notes and then timestamps. So you can just skip and go to the best lessons that strike you, because one thing can change your life. Just watch that clip, watch that 10 seconds, that 1 minute, because you never learn less. It's a good thing. 8 golden rules of real estate. So I'll just share this super quick, 8 golden rules of real estate, because when you attend a seminar like this, what's an example of something that you won't learn less? What's an example of one thing that can change your life? So a lot of these things I didn't know. And I had to unlearn that term common sense. Because maybe it's common sense to you, but it's not common sense to me. And I heard that a lot from my dad. All that made me feel was I felt like a piece of shit. Because he said it's common sense, but I don't know it. So I feel more stupid, right? So I had to unlearn that. And I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to share it with you. A little more patience I learned pays off a lot, because I appreciate it too when someone treats me that way. So, 8 golden rules of real estate. Super quick. Number one, you make your money when you buy. So it's that concept of, you buy it pre-selling, buy low, someone is selling it at a discount. And there are legitimate ways where that happens, by the way. You make your money when you buy, because by the time you sell it, cash in, right? The value multiplied. Number two, always buy from a motivated seller. I didn't understand this at first, but people who have purchased, sold real estate, you probably get this, because it's not easy selling real estate. There's paperwork like that. If the seller's not motivated, it's not gonna happen. Right. So number three, fall in love with the deal, not the property. Again, we're learning money mindset. It's easy to get attached to the property and then you don't want to sell it, right? So, for sentimental value, you're not matching it with market price, etc. So, number four, never be the first to name a figure. That person usually loses. So, when it comes to selling, like there's a buyer like that. So, as much as possible. Number five, be counter cyclical. I love this one. This one hit me. I kind of get it. Be counter cyclical. So right now, for example, the market is down, right? If ever stock market, there's a real estate market. If the prices crash, right, and real estate is hated, that's the best time to look for opportunities and buy. When everything is booming, and I understand this from the stock market side, similarly on the real estate side, let's say a lot of people are actually building houses. People want to buy real estate. I saw this actually happen during the COVID in the last 3 years. 2023, 3 years ago when COVID happened. Interestingly, in the village where I live in, people started buying more real estate, and more houses I started to notice were being constructed. And these weren't cheap houses. These were glass house, 50 million peso and above looking houses. So be counter cyclical. There are people actually building, it's booming, right? When some people think it's down. And when wanna buy, people wanna buy, then go sell. Take advantage of the opportunity, right? Now, how do you sell the profit? You had to take the steps 10 years ago, right? Like follow this. You made your money 10 years ago when you bought that property when everyone wanted to sell, right? So number six, always try to buy with zero or little down. I still don't understand that, but that's the concept of like when you leverage money, like good debt, like that. Number seven, seldom sell. So maybe I'll figure that out years to come. Because usually it's people who build a real estate portfolio, then they only sell later on. Number eight, the last one, eight golden rules of real estate. The deal of the decade usually comes once a week. So number eight, the deal of the decade usually comes along once a week. I love that line because opportunities actually happen, or they come across more often than we think. So next best lesson. Whew. Dr. Dolf Roos said this. He has a PhD. So remember about our conditioning, school, the system, all that. Dr. Dolf Roos had 8 years PhD in electrical engineering. And this is what he shared. Everything I learned became obsolete. So electrical engineer doctorate, it became obsolete, everything he learned. So what he's sharing, and I see in him, is he started learning real estate. He started learning, never work again, money, financial literacy, financial freedom, all this stuff. And then he became big. He grew from there financially, not just up here in the head. So here's a bonus because he's talking about real estate. You can actually get permanent residence in the US through investing in real estate. So some people they talk about that, right? The green card, all that. You have to marry. Well, you have to study there, right? The EB-5 employment based, right? But if you actually invest in real estate, you can actually get permanent residence also. There's a way. So all these ideas, why are we sharing this? Dr. Dolf Roos, he said, I want you to say, that changed my life. There are some people, they just, to live a better life, for them, it was migrating to the US, the United States, or a better place. And it was this one idea that helped them do it, that changed their life. So, next best lesson. So, earlier, we were talking already about money, time, value, all that, right? So, when it comes to money and time, what Dr. Dolf Roos, or what was shared, sorry, in this best lessons I'm sharing here is there will always be someone who will exchange one for the other. If you have money, there will be someone who will want to exchange it for their time, right? For their labor, for their service, like that. If you have service, labor, you have the idea, the value, someone will want to exchange that with you for money. So if you're older and you have a lot of money, well, sometimes you're running out of time, right? So if you have a lot of time and you don't have the money, but you do have enthusiasm, you have effort, you're young, right? Then leverage that. So again, there will always be someone who will exchange one for the other. So be that person. Next part of this. So we're done with the speakers already of Never Work Again. This is called the Millionaire Panel. So what I love about this part, they got other people, not just the speakers on passive income vehicles. So there's Sandy Jadeja from London, UK, Tian Yi. He was the one on mobile apps, so he's from Singapore. Dr. Dolf Roos from New Zealand. There's Conray Labuschagne from South Africa. And then there was another guy in the millionaire panel, Karan Hasija from India. So next best lessons. Let's flow into this millionaire panel. Again, these are like the best lessons from millionaires. And we're learning from the wealthy. That's what we're doing here in Never Work Again. Like in part one, Never Work Again, we're here to learn from the wealthy. So, next best lesson, this is from Sandy Jadeja. Whatever we do, we have to give back. Now, this is coming from a millionaire. This is coming from a high level of, high net worth person. And I believe this. So, anytime growing up, we heard that lines like, rich people are greedy, rich people are evil, like that. Well, this is not what I'm learning right now. And I love this. I love this. So, next best lesson, Dr. Dolf the Roos shared this. Remember, 8 years PhD, doctorate in electrical engineering. He said, the people with degrees, the professors, they're the ones who are not wealthy. Then someone might say, but yeah, Dr. Dolf the Roos, 8 years electrical engineering PhD. The way he became wealthy was through real estate, which is what we're learning here. And we're sharing in the Never Work Again side. I'm not sharing with you about his electrical engineering PhD professor degree like that, because those are the people who are not wealthy, according to Dr. Dolf de Roos. Next best lesson. In the millionaire panel, this was the question to the panel. What is the number one reason for your financial success? For Dr. Dolf de Roos, he said, I don't watch TV. I don't watch a lot of TV. So why is that his reason for financial success? He has no conditioning. No conditioning from television, no limits. People who watch a lot of television, if you notice, like the news, a lot of it is negative, a lot of it is garbage. Now, if you watch TV in a golden era that was teaching you how to become rich and was teaching you values, praise the Lord, hallelujah. I was born in 1987. Yeah, there were some cool cartoons growing up with that shared values, but in recent times, if you watch TV, a lot of it is garbage. A lot of it will limit our mindset. A lot of it is it's negative conditioning, social conditioning. So Dr. Dolf de Roos, I don't watch a lot of TV. It became his reason for financial success. Next one, I love this one. This one's really good. Conray Labuschagne. What is the number one reason for his financial success? For him, it was a red bicycle. So what was this? It was desire. Growing up when he was a kid, because he didn't have it, and all he wanted was that red bicycle. That desire, he said, so I figured out how to get it. And he learned the need to leverage. And he used that leverage. That's how he got his financial success, all because of that desire. So for Karan Hasija, his number one reason for financial success was learning, hands down. I love that. That's what we're doing here. I'm starting from the bottom. I'm just sharing back first, right? So for him, he calls that he had to break, or he had to bite or break his own ego and accept that I don't know. I could relate to that a lot because I'm at that point still where I have so much to learn, right? One day maybe when I become some multi millionaire, right? Or whatever my destiny is, then I can come back, right, and see where it all began. Next one, Sandy Jadeja. What was his number one reason for his financial success? Belief. If you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to work. So someone will say, where do you get your belief? Partly for Sandy, it came from his mother. So that's how important that is. If it's not your mother, your father, maybe it's someone who believed in you. And then confidence comes from that belief. Another reason For him, curiosity. And this is what we're doing right now. Everyone watching the live or the replay, your curiosity, and I wanted to lead you to financial freedom, to success, in this case, for never work again, right? Curiosity lead you to financial success or a good place. Lastly, he said, I don't want to waste time. Thank you for that reminder. So let's move forward. Tian Yi, his number one reason for financial success was pain. So this one again, deep rooted, hits hard. For him, his father would get physical when he would be angry. And he had a very strong desire to not be poor. He wanted for his mother to not work hard, and he wanted to or break that suffering of his mother. She was in debt, she was sacrificing her life for him. So it was a strong desire and pain. Next question in the millionaire panel: what is your biggest failure or financial disaster? So Sandy Jadeja, what he said here, shared was, this happened, I believe, January, earlier that year in 2018. His high value possessions were gone in one night in a fire. So burned down. And some of you may have experienced that, whether it's your house, even if you have a vault, right? All your artwork, your precious, your valuables, right? All of that was just gone in one night. And what he said was, am I going to let that stop me? And this is the key question. Do I have everything in me to start over again? And this is why this is so valuable. The lessons, right, in us. Maybe it's not the external material possessions, right? Now, people might ask, right? So you lost a lot, right? He said, of course it was hard. It still is. There are days. So he's not pretending like all those things, his high value possessions, gone in a fire in one night, that he wasn't affected. He was still as affected, but this is what helped him. So, what is the biggest failure or financial disaster of Conray Labuschagne? For him, someone stuck a gun to him, made his wife put his baby on the driveway. It was a car hijack. They took his possessions and then they started shooting at his baby son. And because of that, he lost his will to do business. He became anti money. So that was one of the biggest failures or financial disasters for Conray. So he went to depression. He never wanted to go through this again. Now, this one, from becoming anti money, he realized this. I can turn that around. The negative to the positive. How? How did he do that? So he said, if people can learn to make money, it will stop crime. And that was mind blowing for me. Like, what are you talking about? Through teaching people to make money instead of take money, which is what they did to him. They hijacked his car, took his valuables, took his possessions. They even shot at his baby, his son, right? So if I teach people how to make money, there's going to be less crime. I was like, holy shit. Isn't that true? When people have problems with money, they tend to do dumb shit. They tend to commit crimes. So that's how Conray turned it around, his financial disaster, into the purpose and meaning. For Dr. Dolf de Roos, one of his greatest failures or financial disasters was literally a natural disaster. In Christchurch, New Zealand, there was an earthquake and he lost millions and property damage. So people might say, yeah, but you have insurance, right? Insurance, but the company will only pay 47% of that. So there was still a huge amount to cover. And that was one of his biggest financial disasters that he had to deal with. For Karan Hasija, his biggest financial disaster or failure, you can say, right, is he did not get paid for 2 years of his work. He was $90,000 in debt and he had $140,000 loss. Now, he was in an arranged marriage. So that's the culture there, like in India. And what he was going through was destroying our reputation, him and his wife, right? So a family breakdown. Now he's making 2.5 million to $3 million a year. So he had to go through that financial disaster, which was pretty heavy. So the last one here for this question on the millionaire panel: what is your biggest failure or financial disaster? Tian Yi. 2 years ago, he created an app company. He had two partners, and then they weren't willing to fulfill their jobs. So he was in so much debt, $100,000, and his two partners left. So all the problems were left with him, with Tian Yi. Slowly, surely, he paid all of his clients. And he asked, how can I do this? From three down to one person left, down to him. And all of this debt, all of this problem is left with him. So he focused on clearing the debt of one client at a time. And in my moment of distress, he said, I started to focus on helping people. And this is the same guy who said, I can stop breathing, but I won't stop trying. So I love that sharing of Tianyi. Next best lesson. So, question here of the millionaire panel: what is your highest value? What is the most important thing to you? So, what better thing to ask than a panel of millionaires, right? So, Dr. Dolf de Roos, his highest value is one, knowledge. It's what's in your mind, as he kept emphasizing. And number two, love. So, why? They can't ever take that away from you. Your knowledge inside of you and your love. Tian Yi, so his highest value is the words that I speak. So the future of my life is keeping my promises. This is also why I'm finishing this live part two. If it takes a part two, I'm gonna do it. So it's the words that I speak. If I say it, I will do it, right? It's keeping my promises. And he did that. He did that. He paid his clients off. He paid his debt off. Next, Sandy Jadeja, highest value, don't waste time. Thank you again, Sandy, for that reminder. So I'm just trying to give all of the best lessons in the least amount of time, right? Don't want to take that away from you. Karan Hasija, he said education, which is what we're doing here right now. Conray Labuschagne, his highest value is family and freedom. And it makes total sense how that affected him deeply, right? Next best lesson. Millionaire panel question: what do you want to be remembered for? Conray, his answer is legacy through education. Tian Yi said, somebody that believed in another person. Karan Hasija, he said, catalyst. Dr. Dolf de Roos, he said, he changed our lives and had fun while we're at it. Sandy Jadeja, what do you want to be remembered for? To show people the truth. And I resonate with that. No bullshit in this house. Next best lesson. Remember, all the speakers, they're all human beings. So they don't escape suffering. This is something I learned. Maybe you saw that in their greatest failures, right? Their financial disasters. And There is no success without a story behind it. And this is what I'm sharing with you, their stories, their life. And these speakers, what I love is, even though they have huge success, they still keep learning. Next best lesson, they are very truthful, even if they are rich and successful. So, why are we doing this? We want to get the right people with the right values. They're not only tough, they also love serving people. Okay, next best lesson. All right, this is by Conray Labuschagne. Figure out your real purpose, big why. Put all your focus there, serve your greatest purpose, and then wealth will find you. You might start to see and feel the lessons dying in. Joanne Flinn talking about dreams, it's not all financial. Conray talking about figure out your real purpose, your big why. And him, he is the example who was already financially free from the start. But when he found his purpose, his big why, wealth ended up finding him. And wealth will find you. Next best lesson. This is one of my favorites. Dr. Dolf the Roos. You will regret the things you could have done. Try it all. So I love this. Again, it's like a balance, right? To just focus on one thing, right? At a time. You can actually do both. Try it all. One at a time. Try it all, right? So you don't have regret on what you could have done. Tian Yi, he said, dream big, never give up, and don't stop trying. I can stop breathing, but I won't stop trying. And again, you heard what he went through earlier, right? Being in $100,000 in debt, paying off his clients one by one, keeping his word. Amazing. So, next best lesson, Sandy Jadeja said this: why wait? Reincarnate today. So, this one hits me now, right after I've been through 5 years since the seminar, because I started taking ice learning and did my first ice bath November 2021, 2 years ago. So you can actually reincarnate, revive yourself, your life today. So you watched part one. Now you're in part two of this live, and we're almost done, right? Maybe you got one idea and you can reincarnate your financial life. Maybe you're sick of being in debt, sick of feeling unstable with money, right? Employee for life, but you feel dead inside. What are other ideas? What are other options? This is why I made this, right? You can reincarnate today. Next best lesson. We're on to the last day, day 4. So never work again. Next best lesson. Whew. This is a good question. This is a question by one of the participants, the attendees, alongside me. His name is Happy. So this guy's from Vietnam. How do you maintain the positive energy, environment, vibe, even after this event? Never work again, quantum leap program. So how do you maintain it? This positive energy, vibe, the environment. The answer here, the tip is meet with other Quantum Leap members every month, every 2 weeks. And then what do we do? Share, learn, and ask, what are you doing? That's called the power of masterminding. So that's one way to maintain it. So again, if you're wondering, Martin, it's been 5 years. Never work again, right? Why are you doing this again? Why, Why are you reviewing and sharing it back? This is how I maintain. You don't use it, it goes away, right? You don't work out, your body starts to atrophy, you lose it, right? So I'm doing this to maintain the mind, right? And condition myself. So are you doing it, Martin? Are you sharing? Hell yeah. This is everything I've been doing in the live. Am I learning? Yes, especially when you guys interact and comment here in the live. So I also learn from you too. Aside from me learning twice as I do this live. And then ask, what are you doing? You're getting to see what I'm doing in my life right now, 5 years after. And I love it. If you Quantum Leap graduates, first timers here are sharing also, what are you doing? Because we all learn from each other. Next best lesson. I like this one because it's also a backstory on T. Harv Eker. So it's a lesson on declarations. So when doing declarations, and the declarations are, for example, I'll read one right now so you guys get an idea. Over here, there's actually a declaration card here that they gave us. And I'll read this in the very end again. So it's just never work again, two sides. So the tip here is when I do a declaration, pace around, express myself, energy, create your own, and then declare it. So, for example, I'm gonna make one declaration. I'm gonna stand up even, I guess, for this, right? Right. Practice what I preach what I practice. And I'll give a really cool backstory also about T. Harv Eker on this. So when I do my declarations, stand up here. Whew, let me adjust this just a bit. There you go. So I earn a massive passive income. I earn more than enough passive income to pay for my desired lifestyle. I set up vehicles and systems to work instead of me. I get paid on the I get paid based on the value I provide even without my labor. I love making money while I sleep, play, or am on vacation. The less I work, the more I earn. Excellent passive income opportunities always come my way. I appreciate all the free time and money I have. I am financially free. I work because I choose to, not because I have to. Last one, I never have to work again. So these declarations, some of you may even do it more intensely, more passionately, and that's even better. So why? It ingrains it better. The more we feel, the more we learn. And here's the backstory of T. Harv Eker. In Florida, he lost a lot of money. He got depressed and he locked himself away. And his friend said, there is only one Harv Eker, T. Harv Eker, the Harv Eker. So do declarations, and then when you do them, even do it more again. Pace around, express yourself, energy, declare it. For some of you, my example, that might look lame to you. For others, you understand this. You already feel like I'm so out of my comfort zone. Although I look like a fool. It's 2 a.m. Do my neighbors hear me? Do they think I'm crazy? Even better. Even better, right? So I also love that backstory of T. Harv Eker because before I took the seminar, I did not understand why his name was T. Harv Eker. I was like, what does T stand for? Theodore or something? So this is the story behind it. Next best lesson. So this one, I'm gonna share something about Sandy Jadeja, because people might wonder, are these people real? Like who who is this person like that? So Sandy Jadeja, part of the Millionaire Panel, um, Master Trading Strategies, that's his company. So he's all about trading and a trader, like for stock market, forex, that stuff. So excuse me, pardon guys, I've been doing this live for three hours plus already. So his background, again, when I took this in 2018, he's 52 years old. His father was a trader. He started at the age of 19, I believe. He was born in Kenya, then he moved to London. So he's got that London British accent. And then he's a technical analyst when it comes to stocks, people familiar with that. And he had a slow learning process and he was able to pick turning points. So that's how he was able to master a skill that turned into high income. And for some of you, you can even turn that to a degree into passive income once you already understand how the system works. So Sandy Jadeja, his lesson here was sometimes the very thing you're looking for is right in front of you, but you can't see it. And some things cannot be taught in a book. So this is what we're doing and Never Work Again. And you're like, are you speaking in code and tongues or something like that? Yeah, maybe. So let me decode it. When I was there in Never Work Again and I saw Sandy Jadeja in front of me, I started to see things I couldn't see before. So I feel like skipping ahead to one because one of the favorite lessons I learned from him, and I did not learn this as a financial consultant. I did not even learn this when I took my certified wealth planner designation in 2017. So when I learned this in 2018 in November, he shared this thing. Let's talk about money. So poor people, they think about today, right? Just getting through, getting by, right? Survival. Here in the Philippines, they call that isang kayod, isang tuka, meaning like you get your living paycheck to paycheck. In other words, in English, right? So this one is the poor people. They think about today only, survival. Next level, I'm like jumping to that page where I learned it. Here you go. Poor people, they think about today, survival. Middle class, they think about months. The rich people, they think in years. The wealthy, they think in decades. And this is the last one that blew my mind. The elite, they think in generations. And he said this term, intergenerational wealth. And I did not understand it before I attended that seminar that day before I heard it. Super vivid. So intergenerational wealth just means you have enough money to pay for your own lifetime and the lifetime of the next generation and the next generation, like your grandkids and your great grandkids. So that's wealth on a different level, right? So I'll go back to Sandy Jadeja. Sometimes the very thing you're looking for is right in front of you, but you can't see it, right? And what we're trying to do is to show it to you. And I saw it. It blew my mind. So next best lesson. I'm not here to pat you on the back. I'm here to tell you the truth. And I love that. I love that about Sandy Jadeja. He also helped me understand myself a lot more because the crazy person who's still watching this live right now, you are a truth seeker, most probably. You're one of the crazy few ones because most people, they just want the pat on the back. Maybe they want that TikTok video, they want that cat video, they want something that feels good. Tell me I'm right, make me feel good. I'm going to give you the truth. I resonate with that. And this is what this live is all about. So next best lesson, this one, real education happens in conferences outside of schools. So again, even in the start, part one of this Never Work Again best lessons, school taught us education, but it also was a lot of times very limiting, right? Their programming, which Dr. Dolf the Roos shared. Now Sandy Jadeja is sharing this. Real education happens in conferences, and real work is behind the scenes. So it made me see it on different levels. Okay, I'm learning from Sandy Jadeja, but the real work happens when I don't see him, when he's doing his master trading strategies. So the best mentors I know are, if you feel this is mind blowing, what happens behind the scenes is the real shit, right? Like let's say you see a clip, I do an ice bath, and you're like, yay, I want to do one. If you know how many ice baths my teacher taught, who teaches me, Mark, man, my goal was like an ice bath a week, 52 ice baths in a year. That guy would do an ice bath every day. What blew my mind was sometimes he does 2 or 3 ice baths on the same goddamn day. So the real work is behind the scenes. I love those people. That's the real deal. Next best lesson. Crazy ones watching the live right now still. And I see your love, your reactions. I understand not everyone is going to get it. If you're watching this, you're one of the chosen few. Sandy Jadeja said, when you possess great treasures within you and you try to tell others of them, seldom are you believed. He was quoting Paulo Coelho. So I believe he's the one who wrote The Alchemist, or he's the author, right? So when you possess great treasures within you and you try to tell others of them, seldom are you believed. Now, I'm happy to be one of the crazy ones who who was exposed, and like I listened to Sandy and other in the millionaire panel, those people, and I'm sharing with you their treasures, the best lessons I got from them. So that's what this is all about. So next best lesson, sometimes it's not just about money. And this is Sandy Jadeja's example. There was this Vietnam girl, and her father was very strict. What she told Sandy Jadeja was, if I hadn't signed up and be here for you, I would have committed suicide that day. So people might say, but Sandy Jadeja, master trading strategies, turning points, he'll teach you fast profits, stock market, all this thing, money. But for another person, it saved her life because the place that she was in was that bad. It was that dark, right? And I just showed you a better way of life, and it saved you today. So I love that. That aligns also with my mission, my purpose, why I'm doing this. Maybe someone watched this video, this live, the replay, and they're like, hey, thank you for this. I never knew this. I could test this in my life. This is a different way to live, right? Next best lesson. Another thing, again, another thing. So this is another good one. So Nick, Tati was also watching earlier. Yes, seldom are you believed. Yeah, it's 2:54 a.m. here. So happy madaling araw, Martin. Good morning night. It's already past midnight, right? So 2 a.m. Thanks for sharing your notes. So again, after I do this, I'm gonna rewatch this from start to end, and I'm gonna make quick notes with timestamps for those who wanna look at the description and then skip to the ones that hit you and you love. You're welcome, Nick. So this next best lesson, again, we were learning that school sometimes teaches us a way. Like when I grew up, when I made mistakes, I was punished for that. So this best lesson I love from Never Work Again is accept that mistakes are okay. It's part of the process. And keep repeating this process. So it's discovery, practice, improve, mastery. Then go back. Discovery, practice, improve, mastery. So in school growing up, when I made mistakes and I went below a certain grade, they suddenly label me a failure. Like you fail, you don't pass, repeat, right? You don't graduate to the next grade like that. So this one, and again, I'm going back to this. This is where it all aligns now. Robert Kiyosaki would also share that same sentiment in Rich Dad Poor Dad. So, learning how to become an entrepreneur, business minded, never work again, they encourage mistakes. His rich dad encouraged mistakes. His poor dad, his educated dad, right, in the school system, that's where we're taught not to make mistakes. So, what would you rather choose, right? Next best lesson. I like this one. This is a nuance, but a paradigm shift. Instead of asking, which cause should I do? Maybe you have a dream, right? If you found a purpose, right? And you have multiple ones. So instead of asking, which cause should I do? Wrong question. Why don't you ask instead, how do I do all my causes? I can relate to this. So I'm doing my work as a financial consultant. I discovered my mission, my purpose, 2019, mission to millions. I start aligning and crossing paths with other people. I train with Coach Bam. I'm this co-facilitator with Royce T. We're both in this facilitator training program. Do I do the seminar, right? Do I help with this? Do I help with a sacred healing retreat in the weekend, right? So the question is, it's not which should I do, it's how do I do all of them? And that's what I'm doing now. Right? Next best lesson. I love this one. I believe this is by Sandy Jadeja. So this next best lesson is about money. We are chasing money. Again, the way we were programmed, again, by school, I don't know, our environment, right? Sometimes it's our own family, it's society. We are chasing money. So the lesson here is set things up where it comes to you. This is Sandy Jadeja. Now let me tie that in again. How do you set things up where it comes to you? It's building the passive income vehicles, the streams. So start with one, the golden goose, right? Starts laying golden eggs. You have that one business. You have that one passive income vehicle. Let's say it's real estate. And then set it up where money starts coming into you. How do you do that? Start with your first rental property, for example. Okay, worked hard to build this one. Now you're starting to get monthly rental income. You don't want to do that path? Build a nest egg, right? Investment. I only learned this in 2019, I believe, from, believe it or not, one of my clients taught me this. So I didn't even know what a cash flow fund was. And that fund was launched in 2014 with a company I'm working with. So the cash flow fund will give you 1% payouts every quarter. So you put in a big amount, lump sum, 1 million pesos. Every quarter, you're getting 10,000 pesos. Some of you might say, hey, that's nice. Some of you might say, ah, that's not much, right? Well, let's say you have a client. This client wants to put in 10 million pesos. Every quarter, they're getting 100,000 pesos. Now it's starting to look a little big, right? 30,000 a month. If you do the math, not bad. It's like you're getting your own salary, right? So that's like 400,000 in a year, right? Better than minimum wage. So you're setting it up, and you and I can do that. Set it up in a way where money starts coming to us. Because the way we were educated before growing up, for a lot of us in the school system, and what we knew was keep working for money, keep chasing money, hamster wheel, right? Oh, I'm going to run out of money. Now I have to get a job. I have to work. So instead of chasing money, set things up where money comes to you. Next best lesson. We're getting near the end. So this is interesting. This was shared uh I if I recall correctly by Sandy also, Sandy Jadeja. So there's a culture, some cultures are like this. There's a line here that says a woman's job when she goes to university is to find a husband. And a lot of you, some of you might be laughing. And it's not funny because it's true in many places. Now, is that is that the way you want to live your life? Is that the conditioning you want to accept, right? So let's go back. What's the other lesson here? What is your need? So Joanne Flinn was talking about dreams. Conray was talking about what's your big why, your purpose. Sandy, he goes down to even a more basic level. What is your need? And Sandy even says it's bigger and deeper than your why. So, story of the Titanic. There's Jack and there's Rose, right? So, like in the movie. But here, the lesson was Jack's need was just to go home. He wanted to go home. Rose, like the what do you call this? She was part of like the more aristocratic or like the higher social class, right? Jack was like from the poor background. Rose, her need was freedom because like she was gonna get married to this man that she didn't even love or like, right? So Sandy, his need is freedom from his father. And some of you might be able to relate. You might say, is that a need? But for all of you who are living in the shadow of your father or your mother, you very well understand that's a need. Need for your own freedom. So instead of looking for your dream or your big why, right, your purpose, sometimes just ask yourself, what is your need right now? That's a big hint. Next best lesson. So remember, this is tied into don't chase money, let it come to you. So this lesson is related. It's how to design your life to be independent of the system. I'm not just saying of your family. Some people they rely on the government for support in certain countries, right? Well, what if the government stops giving you support? They change the laws, right? Something like that. Times change. So, how do you design your life to be independent of the system? This is why what we're learning is called financial freedom, right? It's not even, we're not saying become really rich. There's some people who are really rich, but they're slaves. They don't have freedom, right? They're not independent of the system. They become a pawn or a slave of the system. So get started now or get left behind. Next best lesson. So in Never Work Again, I believe this is Sandy Jadeja who said shared this best lesson. He said, I don't agree with that. Why? Because never work again. Because you will get bored. if you never work at all, you will get bored. And when you're bored, you will get into trouble. People who get it, right? So this one I can kind of relate. Um, and instead of saying never work again, that's why it was said in one of the lines here, right? It's work when you want to. I work because I choose to, right? Not because I have to. So work when you want to. So the whole idea here is it's not that you're never gonna work at all and be a lazy bum or something. That's something depression taught me. If I have no purpose or if I have no choice to do some work that's fulfilling, your body, I don't know who else can relate here. Like hashtag relate, comment down below. You were given all the money in the world, you had all your basic needs met, and then you suddenly started to feel like you wanted to kill yourself. Like you're going mental, right? You're going crazy, like losing hope on life, right? That's a real thing. So that's not what we're teaching here. We're not teaching you to never work at all. We're just teaching how you to work when you want to, aligned again with your dream, your passion, your biggest why, your needs, right? Next best lesson. I love this line by Sandy Jadeja. So again, it's something that Nick commented earlier related. But he said this line, 99% will do nothing, even when I show this to you for free. So I love this line because I'm doing this best lessons live for free. And maybe it's not even a quick 1 minute slip. It's like a 1 hour plus 2 hours, right? Plus two parts like that. And I'm showing this to you for free. I love that he showed me the heart, like he just showed me the goddamn truth, right? 99% will do nothing, even when I show this to you for free. So it's just a reality. It kept my sanity, or it kept me more grounded, because that's really how life works. And he's dealt with like top 1% wealthiest people. So that was one of my favorite lessons from Sandy. Helps me keep calm and more grounded. Next best lesson. I like this one, so I'm just gonna mention this quickly in passing. Key in wealth. The key in wealth is leverage. And this was shared again by Conray. This was done by pretty much all of the millionaire panel speakers. So, how do you leverage? You can leverage people, you can leverage money. So, again, not limited to that only. You can leverage time, you can leverage the system. So, there are a lot of other things. Comment down below, people watching the live or the replay. What are other things that you were able to leverage and it helped you amplify your wealth? Maybe it's your hidden talent, right? Maybe it's what else is there, right? That you could leverage your looks. You could leverage. Uh, you became a musician. I don't know, right? I'm curious actually. What are other ways that you were able to leverage your life? Because this is actually a key in wealth. It's one of the keys. Next best lesson. this one is this one is pretty cool. So Sandy Jadeja, because he teaches master trading strategies, fast profits, turning points like that, right? So he said, how many of you want to earn an extra $1,000 to $12,000 a month? So people were like, yeah, I wanted. So he said, really? That's too low. So again, when you attend something like this, you start to see a world where $1,000 is low. Now, people who could relate, hashtag relate down below. You are the ones who are millionaire, multi-millionaire level already, and you get it. There is a world that exists or that's real. And you can learn to see it. You can learn to experience it. You can even learn to be it. So, next best lesson. So, in part one, I think it was Nick who commented about this. So, it's the idea of when you create passive income, you can do it. You can create passive income if you own a business. How? The term here is when you have a system. So systemize. Any business can be systematized, right? So when you do that, what's the advantage of having a system? You can sell it, part sell it, joint venture, or keep it ongoing. So examples like if you have a franchise, sometimes you might not have freedom though if you're running it. If you have a license, right? Sometimes it's more free but not totally free. So like you license your intellectual property, you license your music, like that, something like that. And then here, how about personal services? Let's say you're a financial consultant, you're a doctor or a beautician, for example. Some might say, my clients only come to me. So what do you mean systemize? What's all this, right? So the answer is, if you say my clients only come to me, that's actually ego. That's an ego problem. The only reason they come to you is because they have a problem and you provide them value. So they have a problem and you solve it. That's the only reason. So, ego aside, you can set that up. You could set that up, the system, the business, whatever you want to call it, and the value continues on, the money continues on. Next best lesson. The people that follow simple instructions do the best. This is something I'm really making an effort to practice. So thinkers, overthinkers tend to overcomplicate, but sometimes it's the people that follow simple instructions that do the best. And that's I find that to be true. In the years of experience I've been testing this. So for Sandy Jadeja's example is the way he makes money is by identifying turning points, like the exact turning point, when to get in and then when to get out. And then there are ways to understand that. I don't want to get too technical, but there are patterns like you use the candlestick, spinning top, all this stuff like that, right? But applying the idea in the system is it goes back to leverage. If you have a skill, you have a way to identify there's a certain problem or opportunity, and then you have a solution or value, then you can make money there. I like this example. So this is also related to Dr. Dolf de Roos. So think like the elite. This time, this is coming from Sandy Jadeja. If you buy an apartment or house in Spain, they will give you dual residency. So earlier, the idea shared of Dr. Dolf de Roos was if you invest in real estate in the US, then they can give you, I believe it was residency, or you can become a citizen like that, right? So it's a creative thing, a creative way that I didn't know you could do that, right? There are these people in the Philippines dying to just get a visa because my US visa was denied 2 times in a row, even though I have family members that that have visas and they travel to the US, ironically, right? So it's a solution or an idea for some people where it means a lot. They value it, right? So if you buy an apartment or house in Spain, they will give you dual residency. This is how the elite think, right? You're starting to if you felt something or you had a paradigm shift, you're getting it, just like how it hit me. Next best lesson. Oh, here you go. So I mentioned earlier the quick background on Sandy Jadeja, how he makes his money. Candlestick method, dual indicators. It's a timing system. And for him, he made a system wherein it takes less than 1 minute. For him, again, this is on his side of the world. 4 a.m., log in. That's like when the stock market opens. Look at the numbers, copy, paste, put it in the ticket, place the order. So, again, just from my basic understanding, because I saw some people purchase his course and, shared some notes. So there's like a buy order and like a sell order, like a stop loss or something like that. So you can buy, and then when it hits a certain point, the stock market, you sell it like that. So the most elementary or basic example I would say is like you buy 1,000 pesos or like $20 worth, right, of stock, and then you buy it low. Let's say the market level was 6,000. And then when the market goes up to 6,100, sell, sell ticket, right? Sell order like that. So you made some money, you bought it low, sold it high, something like that. So again, there's much more to it, his timing system, right? But all you have to do in 1 minute, like if you learn the system to that degree, is it can become a form of passive income for you. So, by the way, a modern example of that is there are these like side hustles wherein you have an app or a website wherein you become a virtual assistant or you do certain tasks, let's say for 1 hour, 2 hours, and then they pay you on the side. So they pay you to like open ads in Shopee or something like that. So it can become some sort of like extra income or passive income. But again, choose the right ones for you. I love this one, this next best lesson. This is actually about emotional baggage. And some of you might go, why are you talking about emotional baggage and we're talking about money here? What the hell is the relation of emotional baggage with money? And I realized there is a relation, a big relation. So, if a person has emotional baggage, especially when you're doing this type of intense trading, timing like that, so it's like a high pressure, highly intense activity. If you have emotional baggage, it will not work. Now, what you have to do here is you have to clear the emotional baggage. So it was very odd at first when I was like, why is Sandy Jadeja letting his students go through meditation or clearing emotional baggage like that? Because proof is once you clear the emotional baggage, he had a 23-year-old student or someone who joined his course, and then it worked. It works. So that's one of the keys. Clear the emotional baggage and the money will work better. I love that lesson actually. It's still like sinking in more and more and more for me. Next best lesson. I love this one because Sandy Jadeja, he said, as a millionaire, right, in the panel, he said, give back. And it made me see rich people in a very different light. Rich people are generous. Rich people give a lot back, actually. And you're like, oh, Martin, how do you give back? Well, you've been live with me giving all this free information for going on 2 hours. Plus, there was a part one, right? So I learned it from these people. So it's not about money, it's about helping people. That's what success really is. So Sandy Jadeja said this line, I will show you how to make money. It's ridiculously easy. But give your first $100 back. Helping orphanages, all they want is attention, someone to care for them. And there was one session I remember sitting in. Not sure if it was from Never Work Again or another time when Sandy Jadeja was a guest speaker, and I saw it. He was sharing photos, and I get it's hard to share this. It's hard to share your acts of charity. But he visited an orphanage. He helped out. He donated, I guess. He gave the money. The the first $100 of his students, right? He collected them. He gave it to an orphanage, and one of them was in Makati, I believe, here in the Philippines. So it hit closer to home because he helped orphanages or charities not just in London, right? Or in the countries where he stays, but even in the Philippines when he visited. I saw him in Singapore during this Never Work Again seminar. So wherever you are, you can help people. You can give back. That's what he was teaching. Next best lesson. So again, we're as we approach the ending here, getting closer, that thinness. When it comes to content, whether you're writing a book, doing a video like this, one lesson here that hit me is no garbage. Why? Because it works the other way around. It could damage your brand. Whether you're writing a book, you have your own website, you have your own profile, you have your own YouTube channel, like that. It's not worth it. So only good content, only quality, no garbage. And that's something I'm practicing. Comment down below if you agree. Next best lesson. Okay, like this one, Karan Hasicha. He said, "More than a teacher, I am a learner." That one resonated with me. Once you know the truth, you have clarity. And when you have clarity, you have direction. So it's like a domino effect. And that's what I've been seeking and practicing over the years. And now I'm sharing it back. Next best lesson. So someone might ask, why should you write a book? Why should you make uh, content, right? Like that. And it's not about being an author as much as becoming an authority. So instead of being an author, it's more about becoming an authority. So notice, like if ever you bought a book, usually you would look up to that person. For example, oh, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So now Robert Kiyosaki becomes an authority in financial education. Now, what's the key again? The content has to be quality, right? No garbage. Next best lesson. So that by the way would shift the way people will look at you. So that's the point. You don't make money necessarily just by making a book and selling it. The money comes in later on when you become an authority, when you become a brand, a good one, and then you leverage on that. So next best lesson. Oh, this one. So we're getting closer right to the end. This was Karan, I believe. Karan Hasija. So he said I had three choices when he started. When he started out. So he was still learning. He had his own mistakes and disasters. So three choices were: one, quit, right? To quit. Number two was to accept that I didn't know, but learn and then upgrade my skills. So number three, it's to continue living in delusion, in denial, and to just go with the flow. So what did Karan choose, right? Most people, they actually choose number three. Most people don't quit. They actually just continue living in delusion or in denial. So that's kind of scary. So that's like an ego check, right? And then Karan chose to do number two, which is accept that I don't know, but learn. And if you ask, what do you mean by upgrade my skills? He said, I invested close to $80,000 while I was in debt. So I could relate. Mine wasn't $80,000 necessarily, but it was 310,000 pesos for the quantum leap. That's just that's tuition fee only. That's not including the flight, accommodation, miscellaneous, right, like that. And then I did Tony Robbins after, Unleash the Power Within. I did Date with Destiny, another big one. So upgrade my skills, accept that I didn't know, but learn. And that's what I've been doing ever since 2018 when I started my personal development journey, attending paid seminars. This is what I'm sharing back with you. That's the choice I took. Next best lesson. A lot of good stuff here. My goodness. So this one is, there was a speaker who offered a book writing course, but I'll share with you the key lesson I got from it. Some people might wonder, why should I write a book? So the idea here is a book is one of the purest forms of marketing, and it sets you apart. Now, it can be a thin, short book, you know, it can be, it doesn't have to be a thick one, a long one. Most people actually don't read books. So someone might ask also, why should I write a book if my topic is common? That's a good thing. That means it's more relatable. So what's one of the keys here is your content, it's really good. And then make sure to differentiate yourself so that it will stand out. Now, I'm testing this ground zero scratch. So, Real Talk Lifeline, I'm here. Maybe it's not a book, but I'm doing these lives. I'm building my library or archive of videos on the YouTube channel, and you can come back to it, right? And all of these lessons apply. Is that a purest form of marketing? Better than a book? You get to see my face, who I really am, right? Not made up or anything. So hopefully, should we ever meet in person, this is the same Martin that you see here online. It's the purest form of marketing. Next best lesson. Near the end, again, this is the truth. You don't write a book to sell books. Why do you write a book then? You write to build your brand. Again, it's tying back to the lesson of leverage. Most people don't get it because there's a process. For some, it looks slow, right? It's not instant gratification. But why am I writing that book? Why am I making all these lives? Why are some of your lives more than an hour? 2 hours, like that, right? Well, that's how you build yourself. That's how you build your brand. And the more quality content you create, you put out, the more impact or lessons you give that change someone's life, helped someone, helped solve a problem, right? Provide a solution. All of that is leverage. You're building yourself, your credibility, your brand. So, next best lesson. Actually, this is probably the last one already, and we're going to end on this note. Whew. This lesson is perfection creates mediocrity. So again, Martin, I watched your live from start to end. You got so many flaws. You only got one viewer right now. If I tried to live my life in perfection, I would be the most mediocre version of myself. So I did it anyway. And again, conditioning of the rich people versus poor people, I finished my projects. Poor people never finish their projects. And this is me practicing the lesson right now. So perfection creates mediocrity. I would do it anyway, as imperfect at it as it is. So these are the best lessons of Never Work Again. You just caught the last seminar here in the Quantum Leap program. Five seminars. So again, from Mission to Millions, Guerrilla Business Intensive, whew, Train the Trainer, Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, the fifth and the last one. You just got best lessons of Never Work Again. So to end this live, people, if you have any questions watching the live or the replay, comment down below. Comment deep dive down below if you still have a challenge in life and it still wasn't answered by Mission to Millions, Guerrilla Business Intensive, Train the Trainer, Enlightened Warrior Training Camp, and Never Work Again. Comment deep dive down below if you still feel stuck with a challenge in life. I will reach out to you. I will listen first to you. Just be with, listen. If you want to take it to the next level, you want to break through, get some ideas, just like right now, to get unstuck in life, then let us help each other do that. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.